You have loving kids and family, job where people trust and respect you, friends whom you have known for your whole life, and your age that may stand on your way to transition. But is it true, or are there any pros of transitioning later in life? Hi, I'm Kira, a transgender woman and counselor specializing in transgender care. In my everyday life, I talk to many transgender people, especially in my interviews and work. Many of them are adults who are struggling with gender incongruence throughout their lives and decided to transition later in life. Some of them are 40, some are over 60, and I spoke to several people who are over 70. The majority of them have families, circles of close people, jobs, and responsibilities. I asked all of them one question: what are the pros and cons of transitioning later in life? Today we'll talk about the positive side and figure out why and how you can benefit from transitioning in your adulthood or at an older age. There is no absolute answer, but maybe you will feel connected to some of the points I will talk about today. Your family and memories. The most popular answer to my question about transitioning was I have kids or I have a family. People who transitioned later had time to meet their partners, fall in love, get married, give birth to their kids, and enjoy the time of parenthood. It's an exciting time that most likely brings a lot of good memories. Yes, you had to adapt to the opposite gender role, but the time spent with your closest people can be heartwarming. It's something that you might have not had chance to experience if you had transitioned earlier. If regrets are filling your mind, try to remember the most significant moments shared with your partners. Your first date, giving them the first present, holding their hand for the first time, and getting your first kiss. Remember how you were choosing the first house to move into together, picking new curtains, and how tired but happy you were after unpacking boxes in your newly bought home. If you still have regrets, remember how you went on the first vacation with your loved one, how you went through life struggles together, and how you supported each other. You held your kids in your arms. You supported them when they took their first steps, and smiled when they said their first words. All of that will remain with you throughout your whole life and will warm you during darkest times. And it happened only because you had enough time to do it. After deciding to transition, you're bringing this legacy from your past. But your family is not the only legacy you have. Stability. The reality is that transition requires a lot of investment. HRT, blood tests, medical evaluations, and gender-affirming procedures. You may reply, well, I have insurance that covers all of it, so it's not applicable to me. Well, what about changing your wardrobe? Makeup costs money. Accessories, shoes, skincare, and hair products also require money. We can dive even deeper into manicure, cosmetic procedures, fillers, extensions, and so on. Of course, it's not a must, and some of the things I've listed are just a matter of taste and female standards. But it's true that being a woman is more expensive than being a man. So, how can this relate to the benefits of transitioning later in life? Statistically, there are more chances that you've achieved financial stability by the time you realized you're a transgender person. You simply had more time. Again, it's not a rule, and with age you get extra expenses. So let's rephrase it and say that you had more opportunities and time to achieve financial stability. Speaking of stability, we know that the older people get, the more likely they are to have their own house or apartment. It's a basic human need to have a place to live, and age is oftentimes related to it. Transitioning is an emotionally intense process that requires a lot of mental resources. So the more gains and stability you've had in your life, the more likely transition will be easier. But is only material stuff perceived as your legacy? Wisdom. Experience and knowledge come only with age. They are your legacy from the life you had before transition. You went through a lot of life situations that taught you a lot. The more you've lived, the more likely you've learned how to solve problems without getting lost or frustrated. It's called emotional stability. You need proof? That's easy. Say something insulting to an older and younger person and watch their reactions. Who is more likely to get emotionally disbalanced, show aggression, or burst into emotions? The answer is obvious. With age, you learn how to react to negativity in the healthiest way for you. It still hurts, but not as much as it used to years ago. And transition, especially when you're reading comments online or seeing a new law aimed against trans people, is related to negative emotions. I always tell my clients during counseling sessions that transition is a hard process. It's not an easy walk. First of all, because of the significant changes within yourself, and because of the society that still treats transgender people negatively. Just remember how gay people were perceived 10, 20, or 30 years ago. At some point, it was even a crime to be in a homosexual relationship, and you could get easily imprisoned for it. The situation is quite different today. The same can be applied to transgender people. The only difference is that the gay movement is a couple of decades ahead of us in their fight for rights. You witnessed it, and it doesn't surprise you that much anymore. You've seen presidents come and go, with the political climate changing with them. Most likely, you were very upset when the first discriminatory law was passed, but when it's the 10th law, you know that it's only temporary, and your negative emotions will not change the situation. You become more mature with age, and it helps with transition. Staying focused and balanced is the key to a successful transition. As we've talked before, you already understood that your coping mechanisms didn't work for you. So you know that transition is the only right way for you. You can't neglect your past experience by falling into negativity. You can't get frustrated because someone told you something offensive. You can't give up because of a new made-up law that makes your life harder. You can't betray yourself anymore. Right here your age comes in to help. Most likely you remember the first insult that was said to you at school. The emotions were explosive. Anger, frustration, resentment, attempts to prove that you are not like that. Maybe you even fought with your offender. Has it changed with age? Yes. Now you either respond with a couple of witty phrases that put the offender in their place, or just ignore them. You don't give them back the emotions they were expecting. You don't care. You know who you are, and someone's opinion will not change it. Listening to others and taking their insults to heart will not help you. This understanding also comes with age. 2 lives and the magic switch. What always excited me is having a unique experience of living as 2 genders. Only a few people get this chance, and transgender people are among the lucky ones to get it. We know how to interact with society as men and as women. The struggles of both genders are familiar to us. High societal expectations to conform to masculinity as men, and misogyny and discrimination as women. It helps us to interact with the opposite gender, to understand them better, and to treat them with respect, because we've been on both sides. Transitioning later in life lets us truly understand the differences between the 2 genders. The idea of having 2 experiences excites me. I know from my own experience that before transitioning I dreamed of knowing what it's like to be a woman. I knew fully how it's like to be a man. But I wished for at least one day to try how it's like to have a feminine body and to be perceived by society as a woman. These thoughts became more and more intense as I discovered myself. I'm sincerely glad that I didn't have this magic switch, because I lived through the whole journey of understanding myself. Because of that, there was no place for any doubts about the choice I should make. I did my best, and I couldn't. It's very common for trans people to suppress their feelings. We tend to dive into extremes, like choosing a hyper-masculine profession, serving in the military, competing with other men, being tough in sports, and denying all feminine features within us. This process takes time. Years, and oftentimes decades, are spent trying to become a true man. Frankly, in my practice as a counselor, I've never heard of successful cases of suppressing it. Dysphoria never goes away until we let ourselves to be who we truly are. This is one of the benefits of age. You already tried many options. You hid yourself, you denied being a trans woman, and it didn't work for you. Only after all these attempts, you can surely say, I did my best, and I couldn't. The life you had before transition doesn't fit. It's not for you. And you know it by the age you've reached. I often compare transitioning later in life to being born for the second time, but with all the knowledge, experience, and memories from your first life. Unfortunately, transition is oftentimes related to losing jobs, relatives, and family. But today we'll talk about the positive side, starting a new life. Seeking for critique. We should learn to walk, to talk, and to communicate with others in a completely new way, just like kids do. But because we already have one experience of going through this learning curve, it's easier for us to understand what way works for us and what doesn't. At the same time, if we're lucky enough, we have support from other people who are close to us and whom we've known for a long time. If they stay in our life after our decision, most likely we can be sure of their sincerity. As trans women, we have an amazing opportunity to talk to other women close to us and ask for their advice in makeup, style, and clothing. The odds are they're more experienced in these things. The longer we know them, the more likely they are to be open with us and tell the truth without sugarcoating. From our side, it's important to have the humility to accept criticism from our closest people, specifically from female friends. They have no intentions to hurt us with their words. It's the way of helping us become better and happier. Once all this is said, we know that age has its own negative sides and can make transition harder, which we'll talk about in future videos. But does it actually matter? You know yourself better than anyone else, and you know what makes you happy. If transition is your conscious choice, then everything on your way is only a barrier that you jump over or go around. Age is one of those barriers. Its existence should be accepted. It's something that you can't change, but you can learn how to work with it. And as we discussed today, sometimes even benefit from it. Always keep in mind, there is no age limit to being happy. If you enjoyed watching this video and want to support my gender transition, please consider donating for my sex reassignment surgery. You will find the link in the description below. Thank you for being with me. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and see you soon in my next videos. Bye!